Let's see. Obviously, good weekend coming out 2-0 on the road against a team that defends at a really high level. I thought we definitely matched that on day two, holding them to an 0-35, and so we definitely picked up our defensive effort. But proud of our girls for handling the adversity over the last couple of weeks and earning that share of a regular season conference championship and ready to clinch it hopefully this weekend.
Yeah, excited to be back in Diddle. Really proud of our team and Jenna and our staff for just kind of taking everything that's been thrown at them. And this was a concerning weekend for us just because Sam Houston, as she alluded to, defended at a really high level. They were holding teams to a 170 in conference play, and we hit, I think, 330 or something like that. So we continue to play really well on the offensive side of the ball, and are really kind of in a process right now of challenging our team to defend at a higher level, to really create separation. And Saturday especially, I thought we did that, and so hopefully that's a sign of things to come.
It's been fun. It's been exciting for sure. But I know Travis has alluded to it before. I feel like every member on our staff has been prepared for these moments, whether it's in practice or in matches. We sit in a room of 5 coaches, and it's not just Travis talking to his assistants. It's all of us talking volleyball and talking about our team and our opponents. And so I feel like Kyle and myself, especially this weekend, we're just ready to coach some volleyball, and we knew what our game plan was. And but it's been fun. But it's been a good experience, and I think in a way it's definitely helped shape our team into more of a player-led team because they're having to rely on each other and not rely on every single staff member, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think we're the least surprised 5 people of anybody, our staff, because we know how we function every day, and we're not at all surprised. I've spent a lot of time, especially, so many people have said what a great job they're doing, and I'm not surprised at all. I know how we function. I know how talented they are as coaches, and so this has not been this has been interesting. This has been hard. It's been a lot for everybody. But I don't think it's as difficult as it might appear on the outside because of the preparedness that they all have as coaches in their own right. And so it's been fun to see it, put to the test for sure.
You guys both kind of expand on what it means to have a share of the conference, or does that really mean as much with Thursday and Friday looking hard, or would you rather just punch it as a whole this week?
Well, I mean, I say this every year. I'll say it again next year, and I don't think there's anything more impressive than winning a regular season championship. I say it a lot because you have to be good over the course of a couple months, to win a conference tournaments or what everybody talks about, and I get it because it's postseason and all that, but I mean, you have to be good for 3 days. This is about being good for week after week after week when you have everything imaginable thrown at you and long road trips and all those kinds of things. So any conference championship, I think, is something, really meaningful because it speaks to who your team is. And but we didn't start this out with the intention of sharing it with anybody. And the fact that we're in a position now where we can come back to Diddle Arena and have a chance to solely win that championship in front of the fans here in Bowling Green is that's a really impressive thing for our team to have the opportunity to do, and we're excited. And I'm begging people to get out of their house and come be in attendance. This year, I say this every year, people don't really realize everything these kids have gone through. I think this year you kind of do. You kind of do realize everything these kids have gone through. And, at what point, is it time for you to come out of your house for the first time and watch WKU volleyball? I hear we have so many great fans that are in the building every time we play, and we're so appreciative for their loyalty and their support. But I have so many people in this community that I run into that say, I'm going to come out and watch a game. I really want to come watch your team play. And like, this is that moment. Like, at what point do you need it to be? We have a chance to win a championship in Diddle Arena after everything we've gone through. And so, like what is it going to take to push you off the couch? And I'm hoping Thursday is that day.
They say that pressure is a privilege. How do you feel about this team, being in this conference schedule where more than likely your game, your matchup is circled for the other team to play? How do you feel just that your players are able to navigate week in and week out, and you're probably getting this team's best, every team 100% effort and focus for preparing for you guys and then playing you guys? What does that say to your team?
It's funny you ask that question because in a weird way, the last couple weeks have really given me perspective on all this. You've heard me say many times when you talk about all the championships we've won in a row, the streak of conference wins, all those kinds of things. And I always answer it the same way. We don't ever talk about it. And it is like we never talk about it. And, I think I saw afterwards she released, it was 99, like 2018 I saw on the release. Like, that's absurd. Like, nobody would ever be so boastful as to think that anything like that could happen. And so I recognize how incredible that is, but I'm telling you, it's something we never talk about. And it's been a real interesting perspective for me the last couple weeks, but that you're going to laugh at this, because I haven't been able to travel. Got a lot more time on my hands these last few weeks, and I sit there and watch College Game Day on Saturday mornings. And I listen to Nick Saban talk, and when you listen to Nick Saban talk about when he was in coaching, he talked about the process. They always talked about the process. They never talked about results. They didn't talk about wanting to win this or do that or whatever. It's just the process. It's do these things, get better every day, be committed to the process, and the result will take care of itself. And it is 100% what our program is about. Like, we train every week. We still, this late in the season, when we go to practice, we are still training to get better. We're not just kind of, who we are. Like, we're training, and there's no way we would have done what we've been able to do if we were trying to do it, if that makes any sense. But we do nothing but think about the next week, and we look at every player we have, no matter what kind of weekend they had, and we're trying to see how we can make them incrementally better every week. And then the outcome is what it's been. Now, it's still a ludicrous outcome, but that's the process with which he talks about, and it really resonated with me because I spent a lot of time the last couple of weeks saying, like, yeah, like that's what we do. That's who we are. Like, we try to get better, and we let that be enough when it comes to game day.
Of course, this is Hall of Fame weekend too. I wanted to ask you about that, the induction, but also bobblehead night Friday. Does this capture the essence of Travis Hudson? Is it your first bobblehead? What do you plan on doing with it?
It is my first bobblehead. As if the last month of my life couldn't get more uncomfortable. This will be it. I have a really good friend who joked that with the Hudson head, a bobblehead's just going to sit there hung over to the side because there's no way that little spring can hold that thing up, which was my favorite joke so far. And, I don't know. This stuff, it is an incredible honor to go through what I'm going through right now and to be inducted into the Hall of Fame here at Western Kentucky, a place that I've loved since I stepped on campus as a student. It's an incredible honor. This will be an incredibly uncomfortable week for me. I stand on the shoulders of every player and every staff member I've ever had here. And if nothing else, the last 3 weeks has shown that this is not done singularly. Because, like I said, I've been sitting on my couch with my leg in the air. And so there's so many people that are involved in this process that have grown this thing to the level that it's become, and I'm honored to be recognized. I think as the first acting head coach that's ever been inducted into the WKU Hall of Fame, which is an incredible honor for me. I'm blessed to be able to do that with, my mother will be in attendance and we'll be able to see that happen. Like, those are all meaningful things. The bobblehead will probably elicit more jokes than it will anything else, which is fine.
Dashboard or
It's going to go on his scooter.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about where her bobblehead of Travis Hudson will end up, or I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun. But I'm just, again, I would like this to be a celebration of what this program has become. Because, as Tony Bennett said recently when he stepped away at Virginia, like, I'm just renting this office. It's only mine for a little while. And, I'm really, really proud of everything that's been accomplished. But the most meaningful part of the weekend for me will be seeing all of the former players that will be trickling back into town to be part of this whole weekend. And so it'll be a bit overwhelming for me, I'm sure. But it'll be very uncomfortable at the same time. But, but it's an honor that will be meaningful for me and my family and everybody for the rest of the time.
So with that, plan on, the sideline versus
Yeah, I almost didn't want to say, I almost said it earlier in my opening statement, but then good Lord, how could we predict anything that's going to go on this season? But yes, my plan is for both Craig and I to return to the sideline this week. Our main reason for not being able to go last week was the travel aspect. Flying was a bit of a concern with blood clots and different things like that, so close to surgery. And so it is our intent to be back on the sideline. We'll have to figure out, we're going to have to map it out on the sideline to see who's going to be where and all that. But I'm really excited to be back on the sideline, and I know Craig is too. And again, insert your jokes there. I'm sure Craig and I will be having scooter races from one end of the court to the other and things like that. But we should all be back on the sideline, and we'll still have a staff conversation about who's doing what, and all of those kinds of things. We'll figure all that out, just like we have. Every week's been an adventure, and this one will certainly be an adventure too. But it certainly, I go for a follow-up. We both go for follow-up appointments tomorrow. But it is our intent to be back on the sideline for the weekend.
I kind of want to give him his flowers here. Kyle Cohen was a grad assistant and then has kind of been thrust into the assistant coach position the past 2 weeks. Jen, this is kind of for you specifically. What growth kind of have you seen from him? And how has what kind of impact has he had for you and the girls, both on the road and at home?
Yeah, we kind of joke in the office that Craig and Kyle are the favorites. Everyone loves Craig and everyone loves Kyle. And so he's been awesome. I've known Kyle. He's also from St. Louis, so I've known him for a very, very long time. And since having him here, he's become one of my best friends. And I just think that speaks to who he is as a person. But he works his butt off and every single day and does what is asked. And again, I'll go back to he sits in that office with us and as a staff, and we just talk volleyball. And I think that Travis and Craig and Christy and myself, we've all prepared him, but have prepared each other for those moments. And he's been great these past couple of weeks and has stepped up in a big way. But I think the girls and our staff respect him just as much as anybody else on our staff. And he's 25 years old, so he's young in this profession, as am I. But I think he has just as much respect as anybody else on our staff.
Yeah, he gave me when he first got on staff here as a grad assistant, and he walked in those staff meetings and we were including his thought process and his opinion and everything from early on. I remember some of the looks he would give me early on, like you really, first of all, at first I'm not even sure he formulated his own opinion because he didn't know that he would be given that opportunity, if that makes sense. But then once he saw that his opinion was appreciated and valued and all that, it's allowed him to expand and become the volleyball coach that he is, just like Jenna has become. And he's going to be a really, really good assistant for someone when his time is here is done as a GA, because he's really grown in his couple years here, and he's a talented young coach.
Going off there, Jenna, everybody's involved in volleyball for a long time. Played not that long ago. They just got on the court, so it's like, for you, does it help you connect with the girls more, knowing that you recently, just got on the court and you're able to connect with them and follow their own?
Yeah, I think so, and I think, we talked about that even in my interviewing process a little bit. I'm not that far out of it, and I'm actually still playing somewhat, but yeah, I think it definitely helps me connect with the girls. I think that I'm somebody that they feel like they can talk to outside of volleyball, whether it's about volleyball or whether it's about their own personal lives, and I think that's what makes our program really, really special. But I think it also, when it comes to on the court stuff, I think they really value my opinion, and I think they respect my knowledge for the game too. And so I definitely think that being just out of college and just coming from Purdue and being the player that I was, I think that our girls definitely respect my opinion and value that. And it's been a joy to coach and train them every single day, and so I'm very grateful for this opportunity.
This is kind of like a full circle moment. I've been joking with them a little bit. I mean, everybody's talking about her and Kyle, these two young coaches that have had to take on all this responsibility, but here on Hall of Fame weekend, you go back to year one for me, and I was a 24-year-old head coach, and I didn't even have an assistant. So I feel like they got way more help than I had back in the day. So, but it's certainly full circle. This thing started with a 24-year-old head coach, and 30 years later we got how old are you?
26.
Yeah, but 30 years later we got a 26-year-old acting head coach. So it only seems right.
Of course, this weekend is senior night. Before we talk about the seniors, Jenna, for you, I know when you talked about your first couple of games at the lead spot, you said there was a couple of the girls who kind of took over a leadership role. Can you talk about the upperclassmen on senior night, how important it's been the past couple of weeks for you?
Yeah, we've really been leaning into our team. That's something that we continuously have talked about for the last couple of weeks, really all season, but specifically these last couple of weeks of really leaning on our girls to, be ready to play and execute the scout and execute their responsibilities. But I think that especially the upperclassmen such as Kaylee Cox and Callie Bauer and Kennedy Coyle have really stepped up and have been more vocal leaders than anything. And I think that our underclassmen have really leaned into them and have looked up to them in these last couple of weeks. And I think their voice has been huge on and off the court. And I think that they've just been rock stars these last few weeks.
Talk to me a little bit, Abby Schaefer, 1,000 Digs this past weekend. I know the website says something different, ignore that. 1,000 Digs, what does it mean to have somebody like her kind of anchoring that back row for you guys? It's kind of been a bit of a rock foundation for y'all, and especially, Jenna, you were a defensive specialist at Purdue, seeing that connection with her, what has that been like for you guys?
Abby Schaefer she's incredible. She's one of the hardest workers that I know. She's one of the toughest, most competitive kids, and so she's earned those 1,000 digs, and she's put the work in for that. And so I'm so happy for that achievement for her because she's a rock star of a human being, and I care about her so deeply. And I think we have a really great connection just because of that, because we both play in the same position. I think she leans on me at times, and I think that, again, she respects me as a player and as a coach, and I have that same respect for her because of who she is on and off the court. And so we have a really great bond, and I'm just so excited and so happy for her to have reached this achievement.
Yeah, I always say about Abby, and this is for every young player out there playing any sport, I've always said about Abby is not the most naturally gifted libero we've ever put in a jersey here at Western Kentucky. And on the surface, that sounds like a knock, but it's actually just the opposite. It's a complete statement of respect for her because she's gotten to this elite level in terms of what she's accomplished because she's a grinder, because she'll outwork the person beside her. And she's always, if there's a ball bouncing in the gym, Abby's probably on the other end of it somewhere. And so those are the kids that I ultimately walk away with the most respect for, you know, because some people it comes pretty easy to. And those are not the people that being a college athlete will benefit the most in their life. The kids that being a college athlete will benefit the most in their life are kids like Abby, who there's a lot of kids that have her God-given ability, but there are very few that have her desire and work ethic and competitiveness and all those kinds of things. And those things have been sharpened so much in her time here that whatever she does next, I promise you she will be the best at it, because that's who she has become as a young person, and that's what matters to me most.
Just hoping you could hit real quick on a couple of players and the national leaders right now. Izzy, I think, is fourth in total blocks in the country. Callie, third in assists. Just kind of discuss their play.
Yeah, pretty amazing. You know, we have a lot of kids littered through that. Our team is, I think, third or something like that in the country in hitting efficiency, which is a statement to Callie Bauer too. And you know, year in, year out, Callie has put our team in that kind of position, you know, with what she's doing. Callie be the first person to tell you it's a combination of how we're handling the first contact, which has gotten better throughout the year, and what our hitters are doing with it on that third touch. And then Izzy Vanderweely, like, if there wasn't so much other great stuff going on, that kid would be the biggest story. If you go back 12 months, you know, if you go back 16 months, we weren't sure she was going to come back the next day. And I'm not exaggerating. That is absolutely not an exaggeration. Like, I would somewhat hold my breath till I saw her walk by to go in the gym to go to practice, because she was just so overwhelmed with this level, because she came from a pretty low level background of the sport. And, you know, you guys know from last year was 2/3 of the way through season before we ever put her in our lineup. And now, you know, and then, you know, it was never easy for her. She's kind of what we talk about with Abby. Now, Abby was a natural grinder. Izzy is not a natural grinder. Every day was the hardest thing Izzy had ever gone through. And when we got in the off season, and when you really crank it up in the weight room and you're training and you're not getting to play games and all that, that was an incredibly difficult time for her as well. And because she was just harder than anything she had ever done. But now you fast forward, and she is one of the elite blockers in the country by every measurement. She is a game changer, you know, with what she's done. And you look at the year, she's gone from a kid that we didn't know if she was going to show up tomorrow in a 1-year period to a first-team all-conference player in this league. And I'm excited to have another 12-month cycle with her to see what the next step is. And I'm awfully, awfully proud of those kids for sure.
Matches against Liberty this weekend. You know, kind of what have you been seeing from them this season? What are you expecting? Obviously, it's Monday, so, you know, nothing crazy yet, but, you know.
Yeah, just talented. You watch them on film, and, you know, obviously one of the benefits of maybe the only benefit of not being on the trip was, you know, being back here, I could get on the next weekend scout quicker, and Craig and I have both been spending a lot of time on them, and they pop off the page with their talent. Like, they're a really talented team. They're balanced like we are. They're a talented team. You know, they've been a little, like us in a lot of ways, they've been a little up and down handling the ball on first touch. You know, and, you know, the main difference when you look at the two of us is just you know, again, this culture is so entrenched here, and, you know, they have a first-year coach. And he's doing a really, really good job with them, but it's a little bit different scheme, a little bit different system, and it just takes time to develop all those things. And so, you know, their program's a little bit more transitional this year, if that makes sense. But their talent level is significant, and they certainly grabbed our attention very, very quickly. But we're looking forward to having them in here.
You know, with senior night coming up, Coach, can you kind of talk to some of the seniors and their impact, not only on this year, but on the program as a whole?
Yeah, what careers, man. Like, I mean, if we can find a way to win these two this weekend, the thought that Katie Howard and Kennedy and who am I forgetting? Katie, Kennedy, and
Callie's been here 4 years.
Chitty, yeah. But Katie Howard and Kennedy, especially 4-year kids, the fact that they will never, if we can get through this weekend, they will never know what it means to lose a Conference USA match. Like, think about that for a minute, okay? And, you know, they've been so big a part of such extraordinary success, you know, throughout their careers. And they both developed as young women so much throughout their careers. And then, you know, Kaylee Cox has come in here in 2 years and put together 2 All-American seasons and adapted to who we are. Like this ever-changing college athletics, this senior class is what I hope we can evolve into here moving forward, because there's 4 of those seniors. You got 2 four-year kids who have really grinded and developed and played different roles and done all these kinds of things. But then you got a kid like Kaylee Cox who's come in, and it feels like she's been here her whole life. In a 2-year period, she really invested in our kids, and we really invested in her. And then Madison Chitty, who's only been here a really short time, who as a grad transfer only got on campus this summer. But I go back to, you know, it's 3 different paths, you know, but I go back to what I always say to them: we will never be hijacked by talent in this program. They have to be the right kinds of kids. And if you take the right kinds of kids, you can succeed no matter what the scenario is, because they will come in wanting to be part of what you're doing, and they will understand very quickly, we're really here for you. Like, this is about your development, and we care about you as more than a player. And those things get sped up a little bit. I told Kaylee when she first got here, it almost feels like speed dating a little bit, right? You don't have the time to go through the recruiting process and all that, but it's more of a leap of faith with a kid like Kaylee and a kid like Chitty. But it's incredible how much they feel like feel a part of our program in short amounts of time. And so, you know, we're celebrating 4 kids who I think all have really enjoyed wearing that WKU jersey and take a lot of pride in it. And so I'm looking forward to being back in the gym with them this weekend.